These are three guaranteed ways to increase your sales. But before we begin, if you don't know who I am, my name is Alexander, and I work one-on-one with business owners to help them grow and earn more. So let's go ahead and begin, because if you're the type of person out there who's struggling with sales, you don't know where your next customer is coming from, or more importantly, you don't know why they're not buying your stuff, you see them landing on your website, you see them interested, but maybe they're ghosting you, or they're just not quite taking that next step. These are three surefire ways that you can fix that process and increase the likelihood of somebody buying without you having to guess what the first step is. So the first thing you can do is to just make it easier to buy your thing. I can't tell you how many times I see somebody who runs a marketing campaign and it lands straight on their homepage, and I have to navigate to a lengthy contact us form and then wait days to even get a quote with you or get into a meeting with you or just honestly support your business. So first thing you can do is to really just make it easier to buy your thing. And if that means doing maybe making it a buy button, if that means translating the process into fill out this form for a quote and to book this free Zoom call to get a quote, or maybe if it just means figuring out a way to shrink the actual resources that I have to expend to buy your thing, basically my time, my labor, or just actually giving me work to ultimately buy from you, then so be it. And here is how you can fix this and actually look at it from the customer or client's perspective. So go into your actual core offer or whatever it is you're selling, whether it's a product or service, and start from the very beginning, from discovering you all the way up until, well, when they actually swipe their credit card or they begin that bank transfer, and write down everything in between that process from start to finish and actually map it out. Step one, step two, step three, and so on. From there, you'll be able to likely see the time wasters, because so often than not, it might just be switching one or two things within your sales process that could exponentially increase the amount of people buying it. As a prime example of this, I'll give you three real-world examples. One of them is a high-end tour company that I've been working with. When I see that every time you have to book a tour with them, we're talking multiple thousands of dollars for a multi-day tour, they are asking all the questions of their applicants up front. And all they simply need to do is to make it so when you book online that the questions come later. If it's easier in the sales process to just get them they're in that emotional state, they're ready to buy. If you can get through that as fast as possible, if you can get them one step closer to perceiving that they're solving their problem, then it's easier to put the details on the back end. So for instance, if I go to your website and you have a contact us form that's 5 pages long or even just 20 different fields, people aren't going to want to fill that out. You wouldn't want to fill that out. So try and figure out how to simplify that process by either taking just the initial portion of solving the problem and making that as simple as possible, and then get the details later. Another example of this that I see all the time beyond just a contact us form is I still don't really understand why it takes so long to ultimately get the actual funds. And by that, I mean, if you have something that is bookable, if you have something that's buyable, if you have something that literally can just be a button, and you are not taking advantage of that scenario, you're missing out on quite a bit of potential conversions. I saw this with a particular a medical spa that was offering services, and they were doing just on the phone call, hey, what's your credit card? Hey, fill this out. Hey, we'll get all these details. When in reality, people just want to book, they want to hit that Apple Pay button, and they want to get to the next step, which is closer to solving that. And what we ended up doing with them is simply just switching them to an online booking system, and their conversion rates or their actual amount of sales just skyrocketed, because what you realize is that at the end of the day, people will not only pay for convenience, they'll pay more for convenience. So make it as easy and simple to do that as possible. The third version of this too, that I see a lot of the times with high ticket items, I've seen this right now with a particular a granite countertop company, is instead of shifting the focus to just being something where you're realistically trying to get them to fill out the quote because you're ultimately going to sell them, you can change a little bit of the language on your website, on your brochure, on something to have a better lead generation entry point. This is really important if you're something that's typically over $1,000, because in the buying process, you're not typically adding that to cart, but you can reframe that. So instead of saying, talk to the sales team, say, book this call to get your free quote. Instead of saying, click this to instantly get, a sales quote, say, hey, we'll give you a free diagnostic or a free consultation. And a lot of business owners tend to undervalue this, but if you can reframe it in a way that basically gives the value prop up front, it makes a lot more sense for your customer to want to actually take that next step. It might be as simple as changing some text on a button. Instead of saying contact us, say get something for free, get a free diagnostic, a free consultation, a free quote. And then not only that, I would even go the extra mile. And then when they're about to take those next steps, outline what to expect during that meeting, how long it may take, when they're actually going to be contacted. So if they get to that contact form, say, hey, this quote will be delivered to you in as little as 2 hours. We're going to email you with this. It's going to be these steps during our initial meeting. Give them a better idea of what it is they're going to actually go through. So to recap, make it your stuff easier to buy. As long as at the end of the day your stuff is easier to buy than competitors, that already puts you so much farther ahead in terms of where you're at in your competition and your market landscape. People will always pay for better, faster, easier things. That is why Amazon is a $1 trillion company, and that is why a lot of these local businesses that you see, these tiny little boutiques on Main Street that don't even have an e-commerce store, that don't tell you how long something's going to take to ship, that you have to go through all these hoops just to support these businesses. Unfortunately, they struggle. When in reality, if you can just tell people and make it easier for them to buy by simply changing things like I said, express payout, online booking, online sales, if you can make it so people can just actually buy it, you'd be surprised who's buying your stuff at 1 in the morning. And ultimately, the last thing is just going to be to prevent all the hurdles. Every single hurdle that somebody goes through within this actual buying journey is another point of contention. So to fix this, just write down everything step by step by step on a piece of paper in a Google Doc somewhere and look for the time wasters, the ones that could be automated, the things that don't even need to be within that sales process, and cut as many of those out. And once you can simplify that process and make it faster, make it more powerful, more valuable for the end customer, you will be surprised who will ultimately want to buy your stuff. And that might just be a simple tweak. Like I said, the text on a button, the actual form becomes a quiz, the actual fill this out for a quote becomes a Zoom meeting. Just ask even your customers what they typically gravitate towards. If a lot of your customers are like, hey, I want to hop on a Zoom call before I give you thousands of dollars, you can sign up for a free Calendly account, you can sign up for a free online booking account, and replace that lengthy contact form with just, hey, what's your name, what's your phone, what's your email, and then once they're in the Zoom call, get more details. But don't try and put a lot of those up front because, simply put, it's work. The second thing that you can do is to do what's called demystification. And this is a process that you see all the time in real life, but a lot of business owners tend to undervalue the potential of it. When you visit an Amazon webpage, you're likely overloaded with a ton of different stimuli, but everybody's looking for each component that makes sense to them. Some people are going to look at the 5-star reviews. They're going to want to make sure it has 1-day shipping. They're going to want to see that 1,000 people have bought it. They're going to want to see it's made by a reputable brand. They're going to see product images. But a lot of the times when I visit somebody's website or see their marketing brochure or see their sales pitch deck or something along those lines, I don't really know what I'm getting. I don't know the steps involved. I don't know how long it's going to take. If you can demystify it, especially if you're selling something that is tend to be a bigger, more emotional outcome. Let's say you're selling weight loss. Tell me how your workout program works. Tell me how long it takes. Does it work for home and office? How does nutrition work? Outline a lot of these from the get-go so that it seems not only like you're breaking down those objections, but at the end of this, what you're really doing is piecemealing or kind of just compartmentalizing what the buying process looks like for your product or service. Every single time that you go through this journey, you've likely seen it, just like when you visit Amazon and you see all those little badges that say, hey, 10,000 people have bought this. It's got 4.8 rating. It ships in 2 days. You can add a lot of those to your website with very simple tools. In the digital marketing world, you've probably encountered them. We call them trust badges, and some of those might be as simple as 100% satisfaction guarantee, organic, not tested on animals, 2-day shipping included, small batch, something that you have to address from the get-go. So if you're doing things, especially behind the scenes with your customer base, and you find that they're asking you all these questions when you get to the sales process, if you're getting on a Zoom call that's lasting an hour, 2 hours long, and there's all these same 5, 10 questions that they're asking you, or all these things that they're really concerned about, put those front and center. Put them on your website, in your sales brochure, put them just near the buy button. And all of those things, you'll be surprised how they can dramatically close the gap in sales. And not only that, if you can quantify quantify certain elements of it, especially things like time to value, which is how long I could start seeing results, or how long you can kind of paint a picture of the average person seeing results, that really makes it so it feels like there's a lot more confidence in me pulling out my credit card and buying your thing. At the end of the day, if the average person sees results in as little as 30 days, if 100 people have bought this and these are all the steps that they go through, and you can add that closer and closer to your buy button, to your contact us page, to somewhere where somebody's ultimately going to inquire or flat out buy your product, it will make a world of difference in the customer's perception, because they'll look at it and a lot of those objections will basically be addressed from the get-go. What you're looking to do is enter the conversation in their head. They're probably having all of these objections, all these concerns. Will it work for me? How long will it take? Does it work if I'm at home or office? Well, what if I don't have XYZ? What if I don't do 1, 2, 3? And a lot of the times, especially you on the receiving end who's trying to get people to ultimately buy your stuff, you're going to start to see more and more patterns, especially as time goes on. And likely, if you've been doing this for a few years, you've probably seen those patterns already. And all you're doing is shifting the narrative so that those are front and center somewhere for them to see. This is the same reason why when you go to a lot of businesses, especially those who are selling digital assets, or I'm sorry, selling things digitally online in an e-commerce format, they're looking to almost treat it as a salesperson would. If I just drop on there and it says my product is 1995, there's a very slim chance that the majority of people would buy it. That's why, going back to that Amazon analogy, they have all those different elements on the screen there, because they know that at some point, out of the millions of people who are using that service, certain people are going to weigh different values. Like I said, some are going to look for the shipping speed, the reviews, all of the different specs. They're going to want to know how many people have done video testimonials on it. They're going to see other people using it in action, not just the stylized product photos. So to recap, demystification is extremely powerful for your business. And what you can do to solve a lot of this is to just basically look at what you're doing completely behind the scenes with your business right now, the whole process, and break it down into sizable chunks. I recommend that you add a couple things to your website, to your sales, to your marketing, to anything that they encounter, which is going to be reviews, which is going to be how long it takes, which is going to be the process involved, any examples of you doing this, a before and after result, or somebody who's at least gone through this process. But most importantly, you want to break it down so it seems digestible. So that way you're not just saying like, hey, I'm a great accountant, hey, I'm a great landscaper, hey, I'm a great, freelancer who does videography. You're talking a little bit more about your process involved. You're showcasing people who have gone through this process, and you're also looking to showcase the result of going through that process. So always look for ways that you can break down the process that you have right now, whether it's a product or service, and look for ways to address those concerns. It doesn't matter if it is a product or service, look for things like shipping time, look for those reviews, look for examples, user-generated content, testimonials, anything like that. If you're still struggling with some of these concepts and you're looking for more personalized advice and a roadmap that's a little more tailored to your business, what I can do for you for free is all you have to do is click the pinned comment below, and you can book a one-on-one call with me, and I'll actually give you the roadmap step by step without any of the guesswork on how to grow your business and solve the problems that you've been looking to solve without any of the headaches, so you can skip all this trial and error. So again, if you've been struggling and you want something that's more personalized to your business, go ahead and click the first link in the description or click the pinned comment, and we can connect and walk through the whole process. Which leads us into the third aspect, and that is to start gathering social proof. A lot of people are very weary about asking their customer base just for a basic review. And so often than not, I hear these stories of people who have worked with hundreds of customers, thousands potentially even, and then I go to their Google Maps profile and they have 5 reviews, or I go to their back end and their CRM and see that they have a ton of contact information, and I look at their website and go, well, nobody on here is talking about your stuff. There's no examples of you doing the thing. And this plays hand in hand with demystification, because what you're looking for is to leverage that social proof. It's very easy for a business to say that they're great, to say that they're the best, to say that they're good, but it's extremely powerful if you can get somebody else to basically use their trust as leverage. So what I would encourage you to do is to find people, and you could do one of two things. You can either do the work for free in exchange for a video testimonial, for a review, for a case study. Get all three of them if you can, and actually create the content. Go out there with your phone, go to their place of business, or if you can't get your phone out, get them on a Zoom call and ask them, why did you pick this thing? What did you hope to solve? And what did it look like on the other end after we solved it? And then develop that into a text basis of a case study from your services perspective. So you offer this service, you had this customer, they went through this process, and on the other end, they got that result. And then finally, get a review and start to take those reviews and snippet them. Take screenshots of them, plaster them everywhere on your website, on your digital brochure, somewhere in a carousel on your homepage, but showcase doing that. If, for instance, you already have customers and you don't really need to do free work, then it's even better, because all you need to do is to comb through your list of contacts, or at least find somebody who bought your thing in the past, and just give or get. Most of the time, they will be willing to just say how great your stuff is, but if they need something to go a little bit over the edge, then just give them something in return. If you offer a subscription, give them a few months free of your subscription, or give them a little value add-on. Maybe they need some design work, maybe they need some consulting, maybe they need some hours, maybe they need some extra work done. But if they really need something to tip them just a little bit over the edge, then comb through your actual list and find the people who are likely, or at least have likely, gotten the best result out of working with you, or really stellar result, and reach out to them. Make them feel special. People like to talk about themselves, but if you don't approach them and you don't actually open the door to getting that, then unfortunately it will never happen. More often than not, what happens is when you go to review a product, 9 times out of 10 people want to review what happened that's bad. It's why you go and you see the majority of reviews are people who are going to leave 1 stars, 2 stars because something was terrible, it wronged them, it broke, it was damaged in shipping. You have to be the voice of reason that comes in and says, hey, I really loved working with you. I had such a stellar experience. I'm glad you bought our product or service. Would you be willing to share your story with the world? It would mean a lot to me. And I understand that your time is valuable. If you're interested, I can, and then insert whatever your free value is. Now, don't approach the free value if you feel like you don't need it, but kind of play it by ear. Some people are going to be, hey, if this doctor that you're working with only has 2 free hours out of the week, then you're probably going to need to work a little extra harder, or at least give a little bit more value in order to get a lot of that content. But regardless, whether you do the free one or the ones who have already bought your stuff, take that social proof and start to plaster it everywhere. And actually use that within your sales process as well, because a lot of the objections that people have are simply going to be reliant on basically the bias, the fact that they look at your stuff as risky, they don't understand the value perception, and if you can showcase that somebody like them went through the process, they went through the journey, they got the same outcome, it's a lot more powerful than you trying to pump up your value, because what you're doing is you're kind of meeting them on their playing field. So for instance, if you were selling weight loss and there were some heavier set individuals who were coming into your gym and they say, I can't lose the weight, I can't get the muscles, I can't do this, but you can find somebody who obviously follows the steps, who's gone through the journey, and if you're able to get those results, you just need to showcase that, yes, this person was just like you, they were in the same scenario as you, and even pepper those within your sales process as well. A lot of people will typically say, hey, I'm concerned it's too expensive. I don't know. Maybe it might take too long. This might not work for me. And then you can even reframe that with kind of a risk reversal statement of, it's perfect that you're bringing this up, because the most successful people who go through this program actually bring up this type of thing. That means that you've done your homework. That means that you've done your research. And I really appreciate you saying that. What I would love to show you is, and then segue into that social proof. And then not only that, once you've actually addressed, acknowledged, and then showcased this thing could work for them, then actually ask them, what are your objections to thinking this thing might not work for you still? Even though based on what you've seen, this thing has worked for these people. And the more you can actually showcase it, if you have hundreds of Google reviews, or even if you're starting off small, each one of these is like a supercharger for your process. So to recap, start to actually generate and aggregate social proof inside of your sales process. You've probably worked with somebody. If you haven't, go out and do free work with somebody and actually go through the process in exchange for a case study, a review, and a video testimonial. And if you have other people who've already bought your thing, all you literally need to do is go through your contacts list, find a few people who've really had a great experience with your product or service, and ask to generate the content. Do it for them. Give them no work. You want to get put as little on their plate as possible. If it means giving them a gift card to Starbucks, if it means giving them 3 months off their subscription, if it means literally doing more work on your end, that is what it takes. Because the more you can aggregate those testimonials, the more you can aggregate those case studies, the more you can aggregate those reviews right when they're in that emotional state, especially if you've just finished getting the result with them. If you've hit it if you've struck when the iron is hot after they've been like, yeah, here's you. This is you before and after you've lost the weight. This is you. Look, you've got leads coming in. This is you. Look, you've got sales coming in. This is you. Look, you've got whatever result you're able to create for them. That is when the moment as well, if you're working with people right now in real time, that you can actually segue that into there. But definitely operationalize it, script it, put it into your operations, because the more of those you can get, the easier it becomes to dispel a lot of those objections that people have ultimately about buying your product or service. So to recap all three of them, make it easier to buy your stuff. Just find a way to make it simpler, map out the process start to finish, get rid of the time wasters, get rid of the ones that can be automated, and just get rid of the ones that don't even need to be there. The second one is to start to actually demystify the process. Tell me how it works. How long does it take? What do I get in return? What's the next step that I am going to be going through? What's the expectation moving forward? What am I going to have to sacrifice? Map it out, make it digestible, make it seem simple. And the last thing you can do to increase your sales is leverage social proof. Show examples of people buying your stuff, show examples of people who've gone through the process, funnel these all into some sort of Dropbox, Google Drive, or some sort of folder, and make sure that they're publicly available on your landing page, on your website, somewhere where people can see them. The more people that have actually seen, that have gone through the process, the more people that other people have seen other people go through the process, the more likely it is they'll look at it and go, well, this could work for me. I think it is interesting. If it's worked for 100 other people, it's probably going to work for the one extra person just like you who's going to buy it. So I hope that this video was valuable for you. If you're interested in growing your business, I do put out a video like this once a week, and go ahead and comment below if there's anything you're struggling with or anything that you want to learn more about, because I want to make content that solves your problems. And as always, go ahead and subscribe and go ahead and hit that bell icon to be notified of our future videos. But until then, I'll see you next time.